All right, so let's jump in and build a full stack project. I'm not sure exactly what this is going to be, excuse me, but we'll follow the docs for the most part. Well, with some things, and we'll kind of freestyle and see what we end up with. I do know I want to use the latest form from Next.js and have the ability to search for whatever we're making. So I'm going to make something where we'll have the ability to search. And I think I'm also going to include pagination. Not sure about authentication for this one, but we'll just kind of go and see. I won't be able to do too long. Got to work in the morning, but I did want to jump in and have a little bit of fun with Next. So just give me a second here. Yep, do that, and go from there with that. All right, so I'm trying to catch the game too. So, but anyway, while I'm doing all that, I'm gonna go ahead and start up the Next.js project and type in npx create next app at latest space dot. So it's installed on a directory on the desktop or wherever you want to have your folder. I'm going to say yes to TypeScript, yes to ESLint, yes to Tailwind, no to SRC, yes to app router, no to Turbo, no to import alias. And we'll just give it a few minutes to finish installing. Let's see what's going on here. And while we're doing that, I tell you what, we can go ahead and going to use postgresql for this one. Let's do this. Go ahead and set me a Vercel project up. Storage. And this is a fun one. Going to be a blog platform similar to Google Blogger. Not almost finished with it, but in a pretty good space with it. I may build that one live next, but that'll have to be over multiple days, or maybe when I have 7, 8+ hours. So I'm just gonna go ahead and set up a Vercel database, and it's free to do so. So if you don't already have one and you want to follow along, go ahead and log into Vercel. You get there's a free tier that'll be suffice for this. And you're more than welcome to use any other database and just hit create. All right, and I'll just keep that there for right now. Let's go ahead and go to Next.js, docs, and we'll go to Prisma there. We'll get started. ORM. Setup and configuration to, I think it is introduction. They have good documentation. Oh, get it started right here. I think I just came from this one. Um, Postgres. Yep, TypeScript, Postgres. Okay. And that's just in the directory initialize the TypeScript project. Yep, already done that. Prisma, net. Okay. All right, so let's go back to the docs really quick, see what we got going on. Or to the project. All right, great. So it is already set up. So I think next what I want to do is we can go to app folder page.tsx and we'll remove this div and replace it with a new div and just add home page and close this out for right now. And then I think next what I want to do is let me get back to one of my GitHub repositories, and there's a package configuration that I want to add to my package.json for the package manager so that it has the ability to work with additional packages without an error. And we'll just go to the package.json, add this. And I think the last thing I want to do is just update the global.css. Sorry about that. I have my laptop is on my lap and I am sitting on the sofa watching the game. For those of you that are interested in college football, the Notre Dame and I think it's Notre Dame and Indiana college football game. So just to have something on, but I figured while it was on, I wouldn't mind going live. Pretty tough, not tough, but long day at work, but it's all good. So I think, oh, sorry. Next I will do is set the font and the body. So we'll say HTML body, root, and then we'll go height and width, 100%. And last but not least, we'll say add apply and a text to help with styling. Version 4. Okay. Go to how to use. Install good old Daisy. That copied. We'll add the plugin. Give it a second. I think it's just this. Plugin. There we go. We'll close this out. I can save that. We're good there. All right. And now let's go ahead and set up the connection to the database, and we'll be using Prisma. So we type npm i-d Prisma and press enter. Then we'll go npm I at Prisma /client. So I'm keeping myself honest. And I'm going to grab some boiler code. This is just the connection function for Prisma. And I think this is what we installed, but we'll just make sure. So I'll copy this. And we'll go back to the lib directory. And we'll add a directory named lib, and that's inside of the root folder. And it will add a file named prisma.ts. And I'm going to paste in this boiler code. We don't have any module not found, so we know that we installed Prisma correctly. Now we'll add in, oh, I'm sorry. Now we'll go back to the terminal and type npx prisma init and press enter. Oh, appreciate it, my man. I appreciate it, man. We'll learn together, brother or young lady. And now that we have Prisma installed, we have the Prisma directory and a schema.prisma file. Let's add or update the .env with the connection to Vercel. So we'll go back to the Chrome browser and go to .env.local, and we'll copy this and let's paste it into the database URL, or replace the database URL with what we just copied. And we can close this out for right now. Then we'll want to update the schema.prisma file. So we'll go back to Vercel or Prisma, and we'll go to where we have the database source. We're just going to copy this and we'll replace this database source with this. And you know what? I think for this project, it's not too late. We'll add in a Vercel. hear it. So sorry about that. Fiance came downstairs and she's using the microwave. So I don't think he can hear it though. So sorry. All right, let's go back to Vercel and we'll install the npm at Vercel blob. There we go. Yeah, I should have selected npm not. I see it's npm not. So to create a blog store, navigate to the project, like to add the blob store, select the storage tab, then select the connected database, create new tab under the blob, and then continue. Choose a name. We did that. You can also update the prefix, so we need to add the .env information so that we'll have access to it. So we'll go back and we'll go to the .env.local, copy the snippet, and we'll paste it in our .env file. Hit save, close this out, choose a name, select the environments where you like to read and write. You can update the prefix. Yep. Once created, you are taken to the developer self store. We've already done, since you created it, store the project in the environment variable. We just done that. And so a read and write token. Okay. A read write token is required to interact with the blob SDK. When you create a blob story in Vercel project, an environment variable with the value of the token is created for you. You have the following options, then deploying your application. Okay. Not worry about deployment if you deploy. No, I'm not deploying. Nope. So I'm not going to worry about using the SDKs. Okay, so here's what it should look like. An example blob creates an edge function that accepts a file from a multi-part form data form and uploads it to the blob store. The function returns a unique URL for the blob. Okay, so we'll bring in put, and this is being the server action, and it looks like we'll be making a put request. It'll take in the request. We'll grab the form data, the file, and the blob, and it'll return the blob. Okay. The put method uploads the blob object to the store. It's going to take in the path name, the body, and options. It accepts the following path name. Yep. Required string to specify the blob. Excuse me. Required a string specifying the base value of the return URL. Body required a blob object, a readable string, array buffer, or blob. Okay. So I don't think we'll need to pass in all of those. We'll just need to pass in the path name, I'm thinking, but we'll figure it out. And those are just the parameters that it takes. Okay. Example code for the folder. And this is just what the code format will look like. Okay. Example responses back. This is just what the JSON or the object will look like that we get back. We'll get the path name, the content, the URL. So I think the URL is what we'll be storing in the database. Okay. Or you could do multi-part uploads as well. All right. So I think we're good for right now. So let's go back. And now with the post in place, let's push these changes to the database. Back to Prisma. And we've done that already. Done the post. I'm not going to do that. Let me just copy this command. npx prisma migrate dev, and go ahead and name it. It's going to ask you for the name if you don't include that. So just go ahead and name it. And I'm just going to name it init per the docs. Shows that it is in sync. Perfect. So let's test it out. I'm gonna go ahead and run npm run dev, and we'll open a separate terminal. I'm gonna run npx prisma studio to get access to the Prisma Studio, which is just a little light interface for the database. Yep, that worked properly because you see the post model. And in this, we have the title, content, publish, image URL, created that. And we could test out our local host as well. So I'll bring this down. And we actually can close Chrome out. I don't think we don't need that anymore. And we'll move this to the private browser as well. Okay, and as you can see, we have home page on the screen. So we are up and going. All right, so I think first I want the ability to create a post, and I think we'll just do it from a new route. And on the home page, we'll have all of the blogs, and then we'll have a special route named new. If we access it, then we can create a, okay. All right, so let's do this. Inside of the app directory, let's add a folder named website. And I'm gonna move this page.tsx into it. And in the layout, inside of the layout, we'll create a separate layout, but I'm gonna copy the um, information needed to create a layout. Since we're using TypeScript, we'll need to add a little bit more than just children, the React information. So I don't feel like typing that out. So I'll just copy it, and we'll do the RFCE snippet, create a component, and then we'll pass in the layout information. And we can close this out. And I think we can close that out for right now too. So let's go ahead inside of the website grouping directory. Let's add a folder named new. Let's add a page. Inside of it, let's add a page.tsx file. And we'll use the RFC snippet, and we'll call this new post page. And click save. All right. And now we have a home page, and we also have a new page. So within home page, we won't worry about anything right now. Let's go ahead and create the server action to create a post. So in the lib directory, let's add a folder named action. And create a file, or add a file named create post.tsx. No, .ts, I'm sorry. This is on the server, so no X is needed. Okay. And we'll need to do validation as well. So let's just go ahead and add Zod. So in the terminal, let's add a new terminal. No need to stop an existing terminal, and type the command npm I Zod and press enter. I think we'll also do a yeah, man. If you're looking to just do some basic coding, I would suggest maybe going to Free Code Camp. You can use the free online Free Code Camp website, and they have different coding platforms or different coding curriculums that you can do. Very good, very thorough, gives you checks. And if you genuinely take the time to learn and practice and really apply the knowledge and do some work outside of the required work, you'll really get a lot out of it. I'll also recommend learning something like Java first. It was the best decision I ever made because it taught me how to really learn the code and understand like the ground level of how the code works. So that by the time I started using something like JavaScript or Python, it was a lot easier. It was a lot more work to do it that way, but it really helped. And one other thing that I'll suggest to you, man, to kind of help with your practicing, like it's good to build websites for web development, but ultimately coding is all about problem solving. So I would say use a website like Code Wars, or notice a lot of people use leak code to try to solve those data structure problems because it teaches you to problem solve. So you already know Java, so that's good. So I would start with Java since you know Java. That's a good start. Do some little remedial projects like beginner level projects and intermediate level projects. And as you're doing those projects, man, and if you could teach it to other people, that'll help the information stick a lot better, and you'll find yourself being a better programmer with that, man. That was something that kind of helped me. So, but best of luck to you, man. And if you ever need anything from me, let me know. And if you like, I may even consider starting a little Discord, man, where we can get together and practice with each other or bounce ideas off each other. So just let me know. Appreciate you asking, brother. All right. So we have the create post. Action that we want to start with. We just installed Zod. So because we're using this in a client side file, we'll need to add the directive of use server at the top. We'll go ahead and import Z from Zod. And all you need to do to bring it in is type in import with the brackets, add a Z. The IntelliSense should automatically recommend it. Now we'll need to bring some information in from Vercel in order to get access to the blob that we created or that we're going to be using to upload images. I'm going to be using this format in order to set it up. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in input put. Then the next thing I'll do is I think we'll bring in revalidate path. Validate path. And that's coming from Nextcash. Yep. And we'll also bring in redirect because we're going to be on the RECT because we're going to be on a page named new and not the whatchamacallit page. So great. Now we'll do redirect. We'll say next navigation. And that should be it. So we'll create an export const name create client, create post, and this is going to be a asynchronous function, and we'll pass in the previous state, and this is going to be unknown. Then we'll do form data that equals to form data. Right. Yeah, man. I know, man. I'm tired, dude. Worked all day today, but it's all good. It's all good. Sorry, I'm just responding back to some chats. Give me a second. What do I? Oh man, I work for a communication provider, man. I don't want to put my employer out there, but I don't do coding for a living. I do this because I just enjoy it. Maybe one day I'll do it as at an employer, but I just enjoy coding, so that's just what I do. Yep, nothing special. Cool, man. Thanks for asking, though, brother. I appreciate it. So before prev, oh man, let me clean that up a little bit. It's prev state. That looks a little better. So before we add that, let's go ahead and add a let's add the Zod validation. So we'll go const post schema is equal to z dot object. And I think we had a title, content, publish, image URL. Let me copy this. I'll have to go back and forth consistently. Okay. We'll say title z dot string, and we'll give it a little validation of a minimum requirement of 1 character, and the message that we'll send back to the user is title is required. Then after that, we'll go content, and we can do the same thing for this. Copy this, paste, and say description is required, and then published or unpublished. I'm not going to worry about, well, yeah, I am. We'll go publish, and this is going to be z dot, is it Boolean? Yep. And then I think we'll pass in a default. Let's see. Yeah, this is something I can't remember. Sod Boolean. Booleans. And okay, so for this publish, it's going to be yes or no. But I thought I could just make this a default. Wait a minute. What am I doing? I am doing a Boolean, and it's either going to be yes or no. So I guess that technically could be. Oh, I think I went too far back. It's okay. Okay, so the two parameters you could pass in for a Boolean, because you could have two different types of errors, are a error that's required, meaning that the user didn't add a Boolean at all, or they picked the wrong type, meaning that we said um, finish instead of false. So I'm just going to copy this and add this in, and it goes inside of that, of course. And then we'll have required error, and we'll say required meaning published. Published is required, and instead of Boolean, publish US. Wrong type. I'll say wrong type. That should be good enough. Well, I won't say good enough. I would say the user can understand that wrong type. Boom. And then for image URL, I think for this one, we only have to do no. So we need to get the file. So this is a instance of instance. Okay. Side instance of file. Look at that. Boom. This is it right here. You can use Zod's instance of validator to validate files. And this will be an instance of a file. And we'll have refine the file size and set the max size. And here they set the max size there. And then we can also say, yep, set the maximum that it must be included. So I think, well, we could type it out. I know some folks would rather type it out than, yeah, okay. We can type it out, no biggie. So we'll go image URL and we'll set this to z dot instance of, and of course this is going to be a instance of a file, not fool, but file, and we'll say dot refine. There we go. Dot refine, refine file. So I'm just gonna copy all of this. It'll make it a lot easier. There we go. And instead of this being a, actually, we can do that. We could do that. And we'll do sub file types, image PNG, boom. That made it simple. No sense of, wait a minute, possibly undefined. So Buddy wasn't using TypeScript. So I think it is, is it here? Or is it any? There we go. Okay. Getting a little better with TypeScript. Hadn't been a big user of it in the past, but I actually enjoy using it now. So starting to get used to some of the errors. I haven't taken a formal class on it or anything. I probably should see if it's a good video or two out there about it. But after using it and just kind of building different types of projects, I'm starting to get the hang of some of the errors and some of the things that should be included to prevent errors. Give me a second. So now with the schema in place, let's go ahead and update the information within the create post function. We'll start by going const and create a const named validated fields. And I tell you what, let's do this instead. Let's go to the documentation, and inside of the documentation for Next.js, we're going to use data fetching, server actions, and what we want to do is, it may be, let's see what the Vercel docs, man. No, it's not gonna have what I want in this, or am I telling a lie? Yeah, we'll need to do this as well too. Yeah, we'll come back and do that later. Server upload quick start. Yep, yep. Wow, this is it right here. This is basically everything you need right here. So only thing they didn't use Zod, but other than that, I mean, man, you basically it's basically written out for you right here. And this is the server side, and then they have a client side. I mean, we could just copy this, but I'm using it's gonna be so we can still use yeah, we can still use this. I'll just need to add the validation portion. So we'll get the validation portion from the Next.js docs. And then to do the upload, I mean, we basically can just follow this. It's pretty much it. This is the this is using the API. So a slight difference will be we won't be using the API. Of course, we're using server actions, but we can that's an easy workaround. So, but let me go to the Zod portion of this. And this is basically what we're doing, but because we're passing an object, we'll need to use action state. Yep. We're doing a object. I'm working with the object. We'll need to use the object.form entries. And where is it at? Yeah, I try not to I do a lot of reading of the documentation too. Oh yeah, they got all of it written out for you right there. Nice. Okay, so let's just do this. We'll go back and we'll say const validated validated fields is equal to, and to validate the fields, we want to use this post schema that we created. So we'll say post schema, and then we will use the dot method from Zod to access the safe parse. And then inside of safe parse, what we want to do is we want to pass in the object or get access to the object that we're passing from the front. And we'll do the dot form entries like we just saw. And it's the syntax for that is form data dot entries, and just be sure to call it. So this is just this is us creating a variable named validated fields that's going to get access to the post, that's going to use the post schema, excuse me, and we're going to use the safe parse method from Zod, which basically, and this is what I love about TypeScript, you kind of can see all of the checks that it's going to be doing. And what we want to do is get access to that object. And instead of typing out each one of these fields individually, we're using the form entries, and then we're just calling the entries function on the form data that we're passing into it so that we can validate that information based on this. That's a quick explanation of what we're doing with that initial code. And then for anytime you're using or you're passing information on the server, got to make sure that you are validating what you get back. So for this one, man, I'm just following the documentation. Great question. I'm just following the documentation to create a post using Postgres and Prisma. This is a Next.js project connected to Vercel. And I also decided to use a blob to upload an image just so that it could be more like a post or a blog post. We're going to add in search functionality using the form from Next.js. And we're also going to add pagination as well too. Appreciate the question, man. So we'll say, so for validation, we'll need to make sure that we validate the data that we're sending back to the server. And anytime we're getting that information, we just need to make sure that we pass some simple checks. So for this one, we'll say if, and if there is no validated fields dot success, then we want to return an error to the user because that means that there's a problem. And we'll say error validated fields dot error. And to get the proper format, we want to use the dot flatten, and then we'll say field errors. And we'll have that. And that is for that. And that's for that. Okay. Then once we've done that, we want to get access to the data from validated fields. The way we'll go about that is we will use destructuring, and we'll basically destructure out this information, the title, content, publish, and image URL from the validated fields variable that we created. So we'll say const, and we'll set it equal to validated fields, and we'll use the dot method to get the data. And this, we want to get the title, content, published, and image URL. So we'll say title, content, image URL, and published. Okay. And we also will need to get access to our Vercel blob so that we can create an image URL that's going to be stored in this data set. And I know we can get that from the Vercel blob. So we'll go with, it is in here. Where is it? We're looking for it's in the server upload quick start. Here we go. Okay, that's on the actual form. I need the one for, this is, yep, that's just setting it up to display it. We'll come back to that later. This is for the server. So the format for it is, okay, we'll write this one from scratch. That's cool, no biggie. So I got you. All right, so the format for this is going to be const, and we'll say what we want is the URL, and that is the URL that we're going to get, or that we're going to create, excuse me, for the image that we're going to upload to Vercel, the Vercel blob, and we'll say await. And remember, from the docs, we have to use the put method in order to get it. And the first parameter is going to be the image URL because that's what we are naming this. And we want to use .name, and then we'll pass in image URL. And the second parameter, this is actually a object. No, I'm sorry. This is the name of the field that we're passing in. And then the third parameter is going to be it's going to be within the object itself. And what we want is the access. We want to set the access to public. And we'll say multi-part is true. GRUE. Okay. So we'll go back to the docs. And that's the route. Yep. First request is the file name. The body for this is going to be the image URL. We're setting the access to public. Perfect. And then this is just caring for if there is or is not a image URL. I can remove that question mark. So it is image.name. Okay. Mm, argument of type file undefined is not assignable. All right, so we may need to. There's an argument of file type undefined. Uh, okay, I'm gonna come back to that one. I'm gonna have to Google that. I'm not 100% sure. So then we'll need a try catch block so that we can gather this information and use it to create a post. So we'll go await prisma and be sure you import it by pressing tab and make sure that it's coming from the /prisma.ts file. And we'll go prisma.post.create. And what we are creating is a post. It's not a prost. So we'll go data, and this is title, content, image URL, and published. And then we'll go console.log error as in error, and then we'll go return in the event we need to return an error message to the user. The message is going to be failed to create post. Then we'll use the revalidated path. And we'll go redirect. Okay. This looks good. So this should be using this URL. And I'm gonna come back to it. So now let's go and add the data so that we can post to our front end, at the form, I should say. Yep. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's go ahead and close this file out. And inside of the root directory, inside of the app folder, website, new page, we're going to add a form to replace this new post. So for right now, I'm just going to remove new post and we'll add another div. We'll give this a class name. We'll set the max, MX auto, so the margins will be auto, and we'll set the max width to screen, and we'll set this to extra large. And I think what I want is a bar that gives us the ability to go back and forth from the new post page to the home page. So let's do a nav, and with this one we'll go class name of flex, item centered, justify between, we'll set padding to 2, we'll set a div to my blog, text, extra large, font, extra bold, text gray, and we'll say text gray, leading, we'll make that 4. Save, and let's check it out, see what we got. Host/new. Okay, so it's just showing layout. So let's do this. I want to get a better view of what we're building while we're doing it. So I'm gonna move this over to there. Let's do that. Why is it showing layout? Oh, because I have layout. I didn't add children. There we go. My blog. Okay. And what does this look like? Let's get some padding on the. Uh-oh. Sorry about that. Let's give some padding on the Y of 8. No, let's go 6 maybe. And let's go border bottom. Set that to 1 pix. Oh, just making a simple blog, full stack Next.js using Postgres Prisma. And we're going to use server actions, of course. Going to add in a search bar and pagination. Yep, nothing too heavy this evening. Sorry, I probably should have put this on this border. Now that I see that, here, there. I'm set the padding of this to 4 as well. No, it's too much. We'll just keep it at that. Okay, so I have my blog, and I think right next to it, I want to add a little icon that'll take you back to the home page. So we'll go, actually, we won't go between. We'll go space on the Y of 4. Let's add React icons to the project. We'll go npm I React-icons. Okay, and at the top, we'll import from icons. You know, I love the FI icons. And we'll go FI left. What is that? Arrow left circle. Yeah, that's cool. And we'll add inside this nav, we'll add a div. And we'll go FI arrow left. Class name, we'll set the height to 4, width to 4, and close it out. Okay, so we see the icon now right there. We'll make this 6 and this 6. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now I'm just going to set it's funny. It really should be. Let's change this to p tag. Change that to a p tag. And we can actually take this and put it right here. And then we'll go class flex item centered. There we go. And then now we'll go space on the Y 4. No, duh, this should be the X. There we go. And we actually can remove this. This was my goof up, and nobody even told me. And that way, this can take us back to the home page. So instead of this being a div, let's replace it with a link. And it needs an href, of course. And we'll set the href back to the root route. And we'll click back. I think I want it to be 2. And if we click back, takes us back to the home page. I'm just going to copy. I actually should have just made this a reusable component to write clean code. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this and go back to the home page and replace that div with this. Click save. And I'll need to bring in link. Done. And make sure you bring it in from next link. We can remove this image. And I'll also need to bring in this React icon. Done. Hit save. Now for this one, instead of it saying my blog, it's going to say my blog, but it won't have the arrow pointing to the left. I'm gonna replace it on this side with a FI arrow left circle. I think there's a plus circle. And then we'll say span new post maybe. Okay, cool. Yeah, that'll work. And then if we click on this, does nothing. Let's go to new because we need to update the link. Sorry. Now update it to say new and go to plus. It takes us to the new page. And I'll just add a span with home right next to it. I don't think I want any space on that X. What does that look like? How about we go margin left 2, 4. Now, what did I do on that one? Let's go ahead and just remove. What is this pang on the Y? I didn't think I needed that. So let's just go ahead and remove the yeah, this looks fine. Instead of margin left 4. Oh, I'm on the wrong page. That's why I'm tripping. It's a long night for me, man. Remove the space on the X. And this is on the home page. Now let's go. This is the okay. It's this. Let's go margin left 4. There we go. Yeah, the items are still centered, so we cool. All right. So I want to work on the new page, of course. Just notice this has. I need to put that back. There we go. That'll work. All right. So now we're going to work on the new page because we're going to add in the ability to upload a post. So we'll go back to the docs. This is the image component. That's the configuration. A server action in the app router. This is basically what we'll be doing to an extent. This is putting it directly in the action directly inside of the component, but we're taking a different approach. So we'll just go ahead and start to code our own out. So we can close the new post. No, we need that open. We can close the website main page for right now. Inside of the website directory, let's add a folder named _components. And then we'll add a form named post-form.tsx. Add use client at the top. Create a post form export default const. Let's go ahead and import it inside of this page. So the best place to probably put this will be underneath the nav. Yeah, underneath the nav. So at the top, let's import it first. We'll go import post form. And this is coming from / /post form. Then we'll go post form. Yeah, I figured as much. We put this inside of this div. Let's change it to this top div. We'll go class name with full. All right, and then we'll move this post form to. No, that's cool. Let me refresh this. That's the nav. This is that div. Let me move this. Okay. And I think next up I'll go post form, remove this div, replace it, and let me just see something here. A class name, padding of 4, no post form. Okay. And we'll go BG purple. Oh, it's orange is fine. Okay, and it takes up the entire page. All right. I was wanting to make sure that it was aligned, right? I mean, it's not end of the world if it didn't. We're just trying to get this thing working, but I just want to make sure. Okay, so with the post form, we're going to do something similar to this in order to get it uploaded. So we'll need a few things to help us with this. Inside of it, inside of the post or create or the post form, I should say, we'll go import. Let's bring in the use action state from React. This is going to allow us to manage the state of our form and provide updates to the user. Then we'll go import. We want to bring in the create post function, and that should be coming from @lib/action/create post. Excuse me. I'm not gonna worry about passing in any props, but this is a component, so we'll need to update it. Excuse me. React.fc. And this is going to be. No, I'm tripping. We don't need to do any of this. Just do post form. We'll go const state, and we'll go form action. And this is going to be equal to use action. And we'll pass in the create post function and all right. The inside of the div, let's replace the post form. We'll replace it with a form, and we'll give it an action of form action. So I just want to get this going. I'll worry about styling it and all that good stuff after the fact. We'll input type is a text. We'll set the name to title. Give it a placeholder of title. I think with us having Daisy, we can go class name input maybe. Yeah, there we go. That works. Like a pretty doggone good input to me. Okay, and then after that, I may come back. Well, we will come back and add a text editor, but for right now, we'll go text area, placeholder, I'll name it description, but the name of it should be content. ID should be content. I'll go class name input. I think it's input. See what it look like. Yeah, that's cool. And we'll go a input. What did we make this? A boolean. Um, action. Okay. I'll go type. No, I'm just gonna go name. Was it is published? Man, I am tripping tonight. Published. D ID published placeholder published last name input. Okay. Image URL. We'll go input type file. ID is image URL. We'll go name image URL. Okay. Submit. All right, let's give it a shot. I might be off, but let's give it a shot and see what we get. So we'll go testing. I think I can type true, and that should be fine. Now let's pick a file, put this, submit. They can get an error. So the localhost 5555 didn't hit the DB. Hmm. Previous state unknown form data. This should be a capital D. This well. I think I'm not sure if that matters or not. We'll try it again. Hmm. It's very, very odd. Let me see. Um. mhm. Nope. It's route. We did that already. And see. Yeah, I am going to shut it down tonight. I'm exhausted. I'm gonna catch you, ladies and gents, tomorrow. Peace. Love you, man.